Welcome to Softech Coding. This is the 13th episode of our Coding with Scratch series. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell. I am continuously going to make videos. Welcome back to those who have already watched past episodes, but if you're just beginning to code, I would highly recommend starting from episode 1. And if you could, please also share this video with your friends and family. Alright, let's get started. So today we are going to be coding an adventure. Now we're going to be doing this with two very important blocks, the if block and the sensing block. Now the sensing block is used, alright, so at first I want to explain that there's two if blocks, alright? So if we go back to control, there's two if blocks. The first if block is just one setting, alright? But the second if block has both the if and the else. So I'm going to explain how this works. So in the first if block, let's say we go to operators and we have this equal sign. Alright? And we can ask, what's your name? And then if we go back to sensing, I'm going to click this check mark here beside answer. Now you can see that answer is up here. I'm going to drag answer out and put it inside the operator. So the first thing it's going to ask is what's your name? And then what's your name is going to be stored inside answer. So if answer is equal to, for example, Softech Coding, then it will do something. For example, if we go into looks, it will say, I like your videos. Alright, so let's test our code and see how it works. So you can test it just by clicking on it. What's your name? So I'm Softech Coding. I like your videos. Now you can see that Softech Coding gets stored here. Now if we add a when green flag clicked to this, whenever the green flag is clicked, this gets reset. Now if, for example, we do something like my name is, I don't know, Scratch Cat, then it won't do anything because there's no code telling the computer what to do if the answer is Scratch Cat. Now I'm going to take away this if block and put in this one. And that's the difference, alright? So if the name is Softech Coding, then it will say, I like your videos. But if the name is something else, then it's going to say, for example, that's a cool name. Alright, so now we can test our code. So if we press go, when it says what's your name, if we say Softech Coding, it will still say I like your videos. But if we say something else like Scratch Cat, then it will just say that's a cool name. So that's the difference between just if and if else. Just if, only one thing, only one option for just if. But in if else, there's two options. One thing and everything else. Alright? So if it's specifically Softech Coding, then there's something specific that happens. But if it's anything else, then there's the other thing that happens. Alright? So now I'm going to delete the Scratch Cat because we don't want the Scratch Cat in our code right now. And we're going to be coding an adventure using the if blocks and using user input. So we're going to be choosing a sprite. And let's see which sprites we have. Now you guys remember that you guys can choose any sprites you like. I'm just going to be choosing one sprite from these and seeing what I want to do. Alright, so how about this parrot? This parrot looks really nice. So I'm just going to click on the parrot. And here's going to be our guy who's going to be going on an adventure. Alright, so now we're going to be pressing on the choose a backdrop. So the first backdrop that we need to choose is we need to choose a backdrop that lets us choose two different paths. So keep an eye out for a backdrop with two different paths. This one. This one has two different paths that we can use that the user can choose from. These two paths, let's say if you go this way, you'll go somewhere, and if you go this way, you'll go somewhere else. Alright? So now what we need to do is we need to choose the other backdrop that we will be going to. So choose a backdrop. How about we just go to the Arctic for one of them and choose another backdrop. Let's see, Which one can we do for the other one? Something really interesting. What if we go underwater for the next one? All right, so now I'm going to go to our backdrops. I'm going to be clicking on backdrops up here. So here, this is the first backdrop that we chose, that we chose. And we have the Arctic and we have our underwater. Now we don't want this one because this one's just blank. We don't want it to mess up our code, so we're just going to delete it. All right, so let's go to our Parrot here. All right, so we're going to be starting our code. The first thing I want to start is I want to go to costumes. Now here you can see the flip horizontal button here. I'm going to click that on both of these and I'm going to flip it. All right, now since we're going to be animating this guy to flap, you can see how he moves around. Oh, I'm going to undo that. If you remember, if you ever delete a costume by accident, you can always press choose a costume. And I'm going to search for our Parrot. And Parrot B is right here. So don't ever worry about it. You don't have to delete the whole sprite if you worked on the other costumes. All you have to do is click here on choose a costume and you can bring back your costume. All right, so as you can see, the body moves around a lot. So we want to fix that, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the wings. We want something to always stay still in an animation so you can focus on the moving parts. So I'm going to see the plus on our Parrot here. I'm going to put that into the center, in the anchor, and I'm going to remove the wings here as well. And we're going to make sure he's directly on the center. All right? And then once we're done that, as you can see, when we're switching, only the size changes a little bit, nothing else changes. And that way we know the animation is going to look nice. And now I'm going to maybe rotate the wings a little bit. This one can go here, this one can go here. All right, these are our wings. You can change the wings a little bit if you want. You can change the colors, but I'm not going to focus on that right now. Same thing here. I'm going to add our wings back and the other wing too. All right, now our Parrot flaps and we're going to animate it so that it flaps during the adventure. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to events, pull out our one green flag clicked. We're just going to do the thing we know how to do. Pull out the forever, pull out the wait 1 second, go to looks, and do the next costume so that our Parrot flaps. All right, we're going to make him flap a little bit slowly because he's going to be talking. We want the user to focus on his words. We're going to go to events, pull out the one green flag clicked, and now we're going to start the real coding. So looks, say. All right. So we're going to start by saying, hi there, I want to go on an adventure. All right, put this aside. So say, I need your help choosing which way to go. So we're going to make him say this for a little bit longer. So just think in your mind how long it takes you to say the sentence. So, hi there, I want to go on an adventure. So that took me about 4 seconds. And then I need your help choosing which way to go. About 5 seconds. So that way you give enough time for your viewer to be able to read what your characters are saying. Otherwise, it makes no sense. All right. So now we're going to go into control and pull out our if block. This is the most exciting part. And our ask block. So we're going to attach this. And he's going to ask, which way do you want me to go? Please type. What if we add an enter here? So, no, never mind. Please type L for left and R for right. And the reason we do this is so that the user knows exactly what to type. So, when the answer is L, you can say, all right, let's go left. All right, so now we can have our Parrot glide there. The first thing we need to do is go to motion and have when the green flag is clicked, we want our Parrot to start here. And then we can have our parrot glide all the way to the edge. And once it glides there, we want him to hide. All right, this is so that you can't see the little bit of his wing and it seems like he's actually gone. But we have to make sure when we do that in the beginning we put show. You always have to make sure with any code with moving or changing costumes, switching backdrops, you always have to make sure in the beginning you add the counteracting thing so that everything resets once you press go. So now we're going to try it. Hi there, I want to go on an adventure, and then he needs your help to choose which way to go. And then we can type our L for left. And then he goes, all right, and then he glides. Oh, I think he glides a little bit too fast, so we can make him glide in maybe 4 seconds. All right, and we can make him show, because I think we can make him go a little bit higher so that the tail feathers are in the middle of the road. And then once you see, all right, the Y is -61. You see here? So if you want him to go a little bit higher, we change the Y to the Y that's a little bit higher here. All right, so now that he goes left, we need to switch the backdrop. So we can pull out our switch backdrop block and change it to, for example, we're switching the backdrop to Arctic. All right, so now we can see what happens. So another way you can test your code without doing the whole thing is by just pulling out the section you want to test and clicking on it. All right, let's go left. So then he goes left. All right, so as you can see, that was a little bit too slow. So if you press go, it's supposed to reset everything, right? But here it doesn't because we switched backdrops. So make sure we put this back. We add the switch backdrop to urban. And then once we press go, yep, everything is reset. Now we can pull this out and try it and see if our code works. When you test your code like this, it doesn't take that long because you don't have to do the whole first part. But you have to make sure you press go before you do it so that everything is reset back to normal before you start this code. For example, if I just do this right now, this is not going to work because he's already hidden. But when I press go, it resets everything by switching the backdrop, making it show, and making it go to the right place. That's why you always need to press go, press stop, and then pull out your code and test it out if you want to test out small pieces of your code when you have large programs. All right, now we can put this back because we know it works. And once the backdrop switches to Arctic, well, we can try it out one last time. Just let he goes left and the backdrop switches to Arctic. So once it switches to Arctic, we want him to show again. I'm just going to click on show so we can see him where he's gone. And then we can put him here. So we're going to go to motion and the go to block. Remember that the go to block teleports him and the glide block slowly moves him. All right. So he goes here, he teleports. You can put him a little bit inside so that it looks like he just suddenly glided in. And we have to put a new go block so that we switched the numbers. And then we click show. And then we want him to glide here. So once he's glided there, we can put this back in here. And if the answer is L, then he goes left, he glides to the edge of the stage, it switches to Arctic, and then he glides here. Now we need to add somebody in the Arctic for our parrot to talk to. So let's choose a sprite. Let's see which animals live in the Arctic. Well, we have polar bears and Arctic foxes. Let's see if we can find a polar bear. A polar bear. Perfect. So, put the polar bear here. Now, the first thing we need to do is go to events, pull out the when green flag clicked, and pull out the when backdrop switches to, and switch this to Arctic. And go to looks, and pull out the show, and hide. When go is clicked, we want to make sure our polar bear hides, because he's not supposed to be in the urban, and he only shows when the backdrop switches to Arctic. Alright, that helps reduce the number of bugs. And suddenly, our polar bear sees there's this parrot in the Arctic. What's a parrot doing in the Arctic? So he can say to our parrot, first, but before he says it, we have to make sure our parrot finishes gliding. Because when the backdrop switches to Arctic, the parrot just started to glide. So we can go to Control and pull out a wait block. Make him wait, for example. Go to Parrot and see how long we made him glide. So for example, let's make him glide 3 seconds. So once the backdrop switches to Arctic, he glides for 3 seconds. So then we can go to Polar Bear and make him wait for 3 seconds before he starts talking. So then he says, "Aren't you a parrot?" And then he goes back to looks and he says, "What are you doing in the Arctic?" And now, just like in our other conversation in the other video, we go to events and we pull out our broadcast block. And he can broadcast, for example, what are you doing in the Arctic? When you write your message names like this, then you're sure, whenever you're looking back at your code later on, what you meant. But you can make them a bit shorter. I think I made this one a bit too long, but that's okay. You can go to looks, pull out a say block. What are you doing in the Arctic? Hi, Polar Bear. For 2 seconds. Oh, we forgot to increase the number of seconds here. So aren't you a parrot? That's about 2 seconds long. What are you doing in the Arctic? So what if you say that, for example, for 4 seconds to make sure everybody can read it? All right, let's go back to our parrot. Hi, Polar Bear, which takes about 2 seconds to read. We can say, I'm going on an adventure. Exclamation mark. I'm going on an adventure. So that takes about 3 seconds to say. And then he can broadcast our new message, which can be, aren't you cold? All right, so now when our polar bear receives this message, remember that broadcast blocks are how the sprites talk. So when he receives, aren't you cold, he knows that he has to say, oh, the computer knows that the polar bear has to say, aren't you cold? And then he can broadcast, oh, what if we make, oh, let me disconnect this. And then he can say something else. Do you want my extra hat? Let's say our polar bear has an extra hat. And then broadcast, new message. Yes, please. And then we can make this a little bit longer. Go back to our parrot, and then events. When I receive, this should be our last one. Yes, please. And then say, yes, please. So after this, we need to have one more broadcast, which we're going to do to our hat sprite, which we're going to add a hat sprite to put on top of the parrot's head. All right? So now we're going to broadcast put hat on head. All right? So this is going to be for our hat sprite. So now we're going to choose a sprite. We're going to go to fashion here. And let's see. How about this one? This is our winter hat. All right? So we can put this on our parrot's head to see how it looks. It looks nice, but it looks a little too blue. So we can add another color by pressing fill. Here, remember the gradients. I'm going to click on this gradient. Maybe do a red to yellow gradient. Yes, that looks nice. So here, I'm going to do this. Okay, but where did all the stripes go? You can click ungroup. Let me see, where did all the stripes go? Oh, so we have few layers here. So this is the other layer. So I'm going to delete this layer. This was the layer which had the outline, which I filled. And these were the layers, which was the stripes. All right, So now I'm going to fill. Remember, if you click on the mouse and you click select, if you click on something, the fill turns that color. So I'm going to click fill, I'm going to click this, and I'm going to click this radial gradient, and I'm going to put it on the pom-pom. That's a good idea. And that is pretty good. Alright, so that's our parrot's hat. We can make its size a little bit smaller, maybe 75. That's the perfect size for our parrot's head. Alright, I'm going to put the hat here under the paw of our polar bear. So what we can do is we can go to looks and make it, if you see here we have the go to front layer block, we can change it to go to back layer. So now it's under the paw of the polar bear. Now events, when green flag is clicked, we want, and when the backdrop switches to. So when green flag is clicked, we want you to go to the back layer, and we want you to hide. And when backdrop switches to Arctic, we want you to show. And finally, when you receive yes, put hat on head, then we want the hat to glide to the parrot's head. First, let's go to motion. Remember, in the beginning, we want our hat to go here. And then, once our hat is ready to go on the parrot's head, we want it to glide to here. Alright? We can make it glide for maybe 2 seconds. Now we need to test our code and see how it worked. Hi there, I want to go on an adventure. I need your help choosing which way to go. Which way do you want to go? We're going to type L for left. Alright, let's go left. Parrot goes left, and he glides up. Aren't you a parrot? What are you doing in the Arctic? And then, hi polar bear. I'm going on an adventure. Aren't you cold? Do you want my extra hat? Yes, please. So then the hat glides to the parrot's head. And that's the end of the Arctic adventure. Now next time, in our next video, part 2, we're going to be coding the underwater adventure to see what happens. Thanks for watching. We have lots of other videos and more coming. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and please share this video with your friends and family. See you next time!